So now that the condo market has collapsed, or at least gone down very, very significantly over the last few years, we're seeing a lot more condos that were priced the way they used to be, maybe between 2015 to 2020. I'm talking one bedrooms in the high 300,000s, 400,000s, instead of having to pay 5, 6, 7, sometimes 800,000 for a condo, especially in the downtown core and especially in new construction. So obviously this is a super positive thing. I wanted to talk to you today about an article that came out in the Toronto Star called "More Toronto Condos Are Selling in the 300,000s as Prices Finally Become, in brackets, slightly more affordable." You're going to get my real-time thoughts. I haven't read through this yet. What it means for buyers is that a buying opportunity is being created. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily been created already, because right now it's still on the way down. So how long it's going to stay that way, who knows? And for sellers, it means if you're planning on selling, do it sooner rather than later, unless you're willing to wait and see where it bottoms out and starts to go back up. Because right now, the more that you wait, the lower that you'll sell for. But without further ado, let's get into this article. Grace Chan never saw a downtown Toronto condo with a price tag less than $600,000 at the height of the pandemic. True. The Toronto-based realtor who works primarily in Yorkville and the downtown core said 400 square foot studios were snatched up for more than $500,000 day after day, no questions asked. Absolutely. Especially during the pandemic, when we saw the market boom of 2021 and early 2022, builders were charging inordinate prices. Builders price based on where they think the market is going to be when the construction is done 4 or 5 years from now, not where the market is today. And because prices were going up 15 to 20% a year, builders priced it sometimes 40% more than market value because they thought that's where the market would be. As you and I both know, a lot of people are now stuck in really, really tough situations who bought it for $6, maybe $7,000+, who now can't even sell it for $500,000. And investors who used to gobble these units up, even at these inordinate price tags, now have completely left the market. It makes no sense for them to buy these units, these junior one beds, these studios that they were gobbling up before. The rental rates aren't there to justify it, and the interest rates aren't low enough to cash flow. End users are out as well because they have no need for that housing category. They'd rather go for a 2-bedroom plus. They'd rather have a place that they could actually live in with their family. Even single people want a bigger place because you might meet someone. Now, in the condo market crash, chancing those same units sell for as low as $349K. This is 100% true. If you have a studio or a junior 1-bedroom, the ones where the bedroom is not even at the window, it's inside the suite next to the kitchen, especially if it doesn't have parking, which almost none of them do, they're very, very hard to move right now. There are almost no buyers for that price category. It's only the people who are looking for the lowest bottom entry point to get into the market, which has not been happening that much of late. Smaller units have really lost significant value, she said. Prices in general are lower. It's not just condos experiencing price dips, but the entire market from detached homes to micro units. In January, the average selling price for all home types in the GTA was $973K. First-time prices fell below $1 million in 5 years. The feeding frenzy of the pandemic, which saw over-leveraged buyers jump into the market and speculators push prices to their limits, is gone. Sales hit their lowest number in 25 years, and prices are down 27% from the February 22 peak. The real estate market was fueled by forces that are largely completely unsustainable. People, especially speculating investors, thought that prices were going to keep going up by 15 to 20% per year, which is completely obviously unrealistic. All of the things that were booming before are busting now, and that's why we see what we see. A growing share of single-family homes are popping up in the market for under $1 million, and an increasing number of condos are selling for less than $500,000. Again, especially if you don't have parking, if you don't have a locker, those are units that are really, really difficult to move. You're going to have to appeal to an end user who has all of the choice in the world. There's so much inventory out there, so what's going to make them choose yours over someone else's? I talk about this all the time, but really if you're in a condo, it is going to come down to who has the lowest and most attractive price. You still have to present it well, you still have to market it well, you still have to make it look good, but after all of that, in a large way, it is still a race to the bottom on price to get your condo unit moved. These properties act as an appealing entry point for first-time homebuyers looking to get into the market at prices not seen in years, and for those outside the GTA who have returned to the office and want a pied-à-terre in the city to cut down on long commutes. They're also attractive to buyers simply looking for a long-term investment, though experts warn economic challenges will continue to dampen consumer confidence, hindering potential price or sales growth in the year ahead. I have to say, in my business, I've completely seen investors wiped out. I know other real estate brokers and teams, people doing a lot of business and are very active, especially in the downtown core and in the GTA condo market. They've told me the exact same thing, that the investor demand has gone down completely to zero. There's no interest whatsoever. The only people who are buying condos are end users and usually looking for entry-level suites to get into the market. Those are also people who are the most patient and taking their time, because why wouldn't they be if they didn't experience FOMO in the last few years and they've waited all the way till now? What's waiting a little bit more gonna be to them, especially in a market that's falling, where if you wait, you might get a better deal. It says condos during the pandemic peak, 2.5% of condos sold between $400,000 and $499,999, according to the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. In January, that share of units ballooned to more than 26.9%. So from 2.5% from 4 to 500,000, all the way to a quarter, selling from 4 to 500K. So that tells us that the one bedrooms, even a large portion of 1+ dens, a lot of those are going below $500,000. Condo apartments unit sales by price range between 2011 and 2025. Since 2022, a higher volume of lower priced units have sold. Blue is obviously under 400,000. So you see in 2012 all the way to 2017, most of the units that were selling were actually under 400,000, and these ones in green, 400 to 500, lighter shade of green, 500 to 600, yellow, 600 to 699, light orange, let's call it 700 to 799, actual orange, 800 to 899, and then you get the reds, which are $1 million+. So you can just see the heat map taking shape. The ones that are $1 million+ have actually been holding pretty strong. If you see, like since 2022, we haven't had that big a drop off in the $1 million+ category, luxury category. Same with 900 to 999. Similar with 800 to 899, although there have been a few dips. There definitely were more early pandemic than there are now, but not by much. What you really see happening is that under 400 has started to creep up a tiny bit since 2021, especially 2022 through 2024. It was completely non-existent. Like you see this little pipsqueak on the graph, but now in 2025 coming into 2026, that's actually growing quite a bit. These two, though, are completely taking off and skyrocketing, being the 400 to 500K category and 500 to 600K category. Basically, in 2026, we see the rise of the lower price categories, those 400 to 700K. They've come back in full, and also the rebirth of the under 400K, which wasn't there before. While bigger 2 and 3 bedroom units are still performing well, 1 bedroom and studio apartments are struggling. These units were mostly bought from pre-construction investors who wanted cheaper units to rent out to give them a positive cash flow. But once prices and rents came down and interest rates shot up, investors deserted the space. At the end of the day, it's left a surplus of small units on the market that end users don't want. And again, when you see the condo supply and these massive numbers, understand that numbers are being skewed by those studio and 1 bedroom condos that hardly anybody wants. When you look at condos that a family could actually live in, they are going to be attractive to a lot of people, and the numbers for those are very different. So the news headlines, they're going to show you the condo market as a whole, but you should understand the nuance between the studios and 1 beds that are struggling and the 2+ bedrooms that are actually holding their own decently well. And the rest of this article is a little bit more about the freehold segment of the market as well, so I'm going to leave that for a different video for a different day. And if you want to find out if 2026 is the right year for you to get into the market, we discuss all of the pros and cons and nuances of who it's for and who it's not for in this video on the screen, so give it a watch, and until next time, we'll see you then.